My cafe sua. G'day, I'm John Hutnick, and I want to introduce you to the third edition of International Conference at Ton Duc Tan University in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, called Innovations in the Social Sciences and Humanities. That's happening on the 26th and 27th of July 2024, and invite you or let you know if you're planning to come, what kind of things we can look forward to. So it's a great conference. Usually starts off with some kind of entertainment introduction to Ton Duc Tan and to Vietnam, and all welcome talks and all of that. But begins really with some keynotes. We have 8 keynote speakers, and they come in sets of 2. So the first 2 will be really interesting, setting us up on our streams. The first one by Kamalika Jayatilaka on innovations in tourism or prospects for tourism studies. And the second keynote is by a friend of the conference, Anna Roy Chowdhury, between left and right, post-colonialism, decolonialism, and political border crossing in India. And both of these presenters are friends of the conference. They've both been before, and so we're really pleased they're coming back, and they start us off. There's a few other friends of the conference speaking. We then break into panels, and we've got panels in different themes, all on innovation, but running through the conference. So innovations in tourism, innovations in social work, and innovations in media anthropology are the main 3 running through. We have speakers such as Ken Farrow from Coventry University, Dattatreya Ghosh from India, speaking on whether or not our cinema, and he means Indian cinema, I guess, is political enough. And a talk by Surayan Chatterjee on Kala Sadane, filmed by Mrinal Sen, which I'm really looking forward to because Mrinal Sen, well, a great filmmaker and important. The innovations in social work theme has work on child socialization, on gender relations and premarital sex, on online risks, and topics like that. And that's our morning start. So it starts off with more, let's say, formal presentations, and then we really get into the issues. Innovations means, what is not just what is new and new methods and new thinking, but also really what's revolutionary. Or one way to take it will be to see how change is happening, questions of change. And the big impact in media, I guess, is really important for this. And you won't be surprised to find that there's going to be a couple of papers also on AI, but also on just different ways of talking about media theory and the social. So our keynotes in the afternoon really get to this. They are Runa Chakraborty from Lithuania, speaking on the monstrous other, sorcery, heteropatriarchy, and Hindi films. Promises to be really good. And Sirapon Sombun Burana, who is from Thailand, speaking on TikTok and the local creator economy there, which is, of course, necessary and important to discuss at a theoretical level as well as to engage politically. So we then into a panel on innovations in tourism, stuff on terrorist attacks in Sri Lanka, on astrotourism, and on agri-tourism, agricultural tourism, important, and sessions on media sociology, video games, students' political use of social media, including in the classroom, and families and social media, case study in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Then a parallel session on social workers' mental health issues, menstrual health issues, and birth control issues, all very important, and followed by or parallel to a session on migration. Discussions of Vietnamese migrants in Russia, of Korean migrants in Vietnam, and on sustainable development and the border migration scene. Our panel on media anthropology starts with Saurav Roy on transphobic Sharifa, controversy in Bangladesh, or because it's also online, is it in Bangladesh? He's an excellent writer and interesting. Papers on vigilantism in India and changes in the workplace, Generation X and Y, and their media use. 2 sessions on education are part of the conference as well. It's not as there are more sessions on media anthropology and more on social work and more on tourism, but education can't be ignored. And we have important papers on adaptation in higher education to Industrial Revolution 4.0, adaptation of foreign students to this new learning environment, and then a more historical study on education in the former southern state regime. Our keynotes on starting the second day, 2 other friends of the conference. They've been before, and from my old university, University of Melbourne. It's Scott Maguire, Innovations in the Urban Communication Field, and then Nikos Papastogiadis, The Cosmos in Cosmopolitanism, a new approach to aesthetics and politics, and they will be recorded but presented online, presented as videos, but important discussions that belong to the conference. Then parallel sessions again on tourism and performing arts, innovations in tourism, and then a special session on innovations in fashion. So that's a kind of sub-theme of the conference as well, how fashion is changing, the transformative potentials of fashion, upcycling and recycling and upcycling in brands, and empowering communities through participatory work in biomaterials and sustainable innovation in the fashion field. A huge industry of enormous significance. So it's important to think about that in terms of questions of sustainability. Other parallel session in that morning is graced by a video from Anthony Gormley, the artist, talking about space. Then Digital Pilgrimage from Michelangelo Paganopoulos, another long-term friend of TDTU, and papers on Indian television and new communications media inside the museum, the private museum. And that's by Pallavi Narayan from Ahmedabad. The keynotes after lunch are Sarunas Palkness on algorithmic haunting, neoliberalism, surveillance, and AI. Of course, AI has its so-called intelligence in there. And Amitesh Mukhopadhyay, who's looking at he's been doing fieldwork in the Bengal Delta in the Sundarbans for decades now. And he's going to give a paper on called In the Eye of the Cyclone. So after the cyclone that hit the region a bit more than a year ago, and was devastating and terrible. Then we again into parallel sessions, one on community, fisherwomen in Indonesia, clean water programs for community and indigenous social innovations, followed by a panel called Digital Innovation, which is graced by, first of all, our own Professor Mai, on the digital economy and transformation, employment and social mobility in Ho Chi Minh City. And then papers on library information and the changes as libraries became even more digital, I suppose, after the pandemic. And a paper on applying AI to the Vietnamese film industry, which is itself very innovative in its approach. Looking forward to those. Though at the same time, and this is the trouble, there are too many choices. Some other friends of the conference are speaking. Peter Hudis comes again to talk to us about Rosa Luxemburg. His paper is called The African Origins of the Primitive Accumulation. We should probably say so-called primitive accumulation or originary accumulation. Rosa Luxemburg's writing on the Nama and Herero revolt of 1904, followed by Simon Barber from New Zealand. His paper is called In the Colony, Papatuanuku, I probably butchered the name, Earth Mother, and the inscription or innovation of the law. As a heck, yeah, of course I got the name probably wrong, but interesting on Maori-Peka relations, I'm sure. And the panel is rounded out by Win Lee on labour power, value dissociation, and the nature of women in society. So social reproduction and so on. After a break, we have another session on education, the psychological crisis of students, I guess after COVID, support solutions for out of school children in the city, and innovation and change in social work education. So there's some overlap between the education and the social work stream, but not exactly the same. Session on innovations in sociology and anthropology includes a very interesting paper on street life and pedestrian areas, walking the city, basically. Then our own Mr. Tin talking about the phenomena of contemporary Vietnamese calligraphy and its cultural refraction using brush pens and Latin letters. And then a paper on decolonization and literary studies discourse. A session on innovations, I think our final session on innovations in social work looks at the overlaps with tourism, gift practice, and ethnic relations. And then finally, we end with two keynotes as well. Professor Vessi Ling from London Metropolitan University will talk on fashion and cross-cultural fashion innovations. And Professor Kung Te Buite Kung speaks on subjective well-being of the people, which strikes me as being a really great way to end the conference. Although if you've been to a conference in Vietnam, you know that's not the end, because the important thing about the conference is also the social and the intellectual engagement between people on the edges of the conference, the conversations we have, and the gala dinner that we'll have at the end, I expect. I don't know where it will be or what it will be, but there will be something. And hope you can attend. It's free to listen to if you're here in Vietnam, to come onto the campus. You have to register, of course, to get onto the campus, but there's no cost to come and listen. There's fees for presenters and so on. And it will be really stimulating. I'm sure a lot of people are coming already, I know. If you can make it at all, do. It's worth it, and always great. Please come, and hope to see you there. Thank you very much. And yeah, good evening, good morning, goodbye, whatever it is, wherever you are listening to this. Make your way for 26, 27 July to Ho Chi Minh City for innovations in the social sciences and humanities. Thank you.